So before we get to what the Bible has to say about our need to stand firm in these core values, I want to share a timeless story. It's a little bit of a long story, but I think it's going to be timeless. The kind of story, it's a baseball story. Jason's going to love it. Jason's going to love baseball story. In 1996, in Nashville, Tennessee, more than 4,000 baseball coaches descended upon Opryland Hotel for the 52nd Annual American Baseball Coaches Association Convention. The keynote speaker that day was John Scalinas. In 1996, Coach Scalinas was 78 years old and was 5 years retired from a college coaching career that began in 1948. He shuffled to the stage to an impressive standing ovation wearing dark polyester pants, a light blue shirt, and a string around his neck from which hung a home plate, a full-size, stark white home plate. Confusion and a fear of senility was everyone's initial thoughts about the old coach. What have we done? What's he going to say? How's it going to go? What happened? But what happened next became legendary. The coach, ignoring the laughter of the crowd, asked, "Do we have any Little League coaches out there?" And several hands immediately popped up. He says, "Does anybody know how wide home plate is in Little League?" And someone yelled out, 17 inches. That's right, the old coach said. "Now, are there any high school baseball coaches out there?" And again, the room, about 100 hands went up. He says, "How wide is home plate in high school baseball?" 17 inches, they all said. "Well, how about baseball coaches out there? Any baseball coaches?" About hundreds and hundreds of hands went up in the room. How wide is the plate in college baseball? 17 inches, they all yelled in unison. He says, "Right again." He said, "Here's the hard question. Back in Babe Ruth's day, how wide was home plate?" And silence hit the room. Then someone sheepishly yelled, 17 inches? He says, "That's right. It's never changed." It's never changed. Now, the coach changed the focus and asked, "What do you suppose a major league team's management would do if a big league pitcher couldn't throw a ball over 17-inch plate?" And he paused, and the room fell very silent. He said, "I'll tell you what they'll do. They'll send him down to the minors, or they'll let him go, or they'll fire him." And I'm going to tell you, in my previous job, I've been in the room then. When that happened, it's soul-crushing to young men to be sent down and sent away. He goes on, he says, "Let me tell you what they would never do. They would never say, 'Oh, that's all right, buddy. We feel bad for you. We know it's not working out like you'd hoped. So what we're going to do is we're going to widen the plate to 20 inches just to help you, right? And if that's not enough, we'll even widen it to 25 inches maybe. Just because buddy, we want to see you succeed. We want to see you do really well." Scalinas then asked the audience, "Here's the question for each of you. What would you do if your best player consistently showed up late for practice? What would you do with an employee who couldn't be there on time and be responsible? What would you do if a player forbid to follow the rules, and maybe you had a rule about facial hair and they started showing up unshaven? What about if one of your players got caught drinking after hours the night before a game?" He says, "Would you hold these players accountable, or would you widen the home plate to fit their desires? Would you just begin to go, 'Oh, you do you. You do you. We'll just widen it out for you.'" The 4,000 coaches sat in just eerie quiet as the old coach's statement mesmerized them. He then said, "The problems with most homes in America today, and with organizations and associations and churches, is there are no standards for people to follow anymore, or even people who are willing to enforce them. We no longer teach our children, our players, our employees, our church members accountability. It's just so much easier for parents, managers, and executive directors to just simply widen the plate. And the result is that there are no consequences when people fail to meet even the minimum of standards. We just continue to widen the plate." He said, "Let's face it, we have lowered the standards in education. How has widening the plate helped our schools? We've changed the standards in some religions. How has widening the plate helped our churches?" He said, "We've lowered the standards all across government. How has widening home plate made our government better?" He said, "The takeaway is don't ever, ever widen the plate. You end up cheating people from discovering their grit." Man, we are living in a gritless world right now. I fear for our nation.